Hi, this is the Shroud of Turing, and as you might have guessed, it's a 1U Turing machine, but with unique features like a built-in keyboard, quantizer, scale memory, and now even more because it's running a new firmware, version 1.2.7 to be precise, and this is a big update. Today, I'm introducing 4 new features: Portamento, single note scale removal, voltage window shift, and 5 machine state save slots. I'm going to walk through each one, how it works, how to trigger it, and why it actually matters when you're playing. So let's get into it. First up, Portamento. If you've used the sleight of hand firmware for this module, this is going to feel familiar because it's the same musical idea, smoothing the glide between one voltage and the next. All you do to get to it is hold the shift button down, and the pot, which normally controls probability, switches over to Slew. Turn it all the way to the left where it's at currently, and you get instant jumps between the notes, no glide at all. But as you turn it to the right, you get a longer and longer smooth slide. And it goes all the way into ridiculous ranges. It's using an exponential taper, so the response feels musical across the whole range, not just bunched up at one end. One important detail: the pot isn't motorized, so when you let go of shift, your probability setting doesn't jump to wherever the knob happens to be sitting. I designed it that way so it holds the old value until you physically move the knob again. That's specifically there so the pattern you've dialed in doesn't get yanked out from under you the second you let go of shift. And like everything else on this module, your Slew setting gets saved with your machine state. More on that new feature in a minute. Okay, second feature, and admittedly this one's small, but it solves a real annoyance. You already know you can build a scale on the fly by pressing note buttons. Press C, D, E, G, and A, then you've got your pentatonic. But say you wanted to pull just the D out of that scale. Before this update, you had to clear the entire scale, making it unquantized for a second, and then rebuild it. Now, all you have to do is long hold on the note that you want to remove. In this case, the D, and it's gone. Everything else in the scale stays exactly where it was. This is really useful mid-performance. If a sequence is running and one note feels like it's not working, you can pull it without disrupting anything else or having to go unquantized. Third feature, voltage window shift. And this is one that took a little explaining in the manual, so let's slow down a bit. You already know octave up and octave down buttons set your range, 1 to 4 octaves of voltage. You can think of this like a voltage window. The larger the window, the wider the range of high and low notes. See, we've got high notes and low notes. And then I shrink that window, and we're back down to that first octave. What's new with this firmware update is that you can now shift where the window sits without having to change its size. You can hold shift and then tap octave up or octave down, and the whole window slides in 1-volt steps. So in this case, we've got a 1 octave window, but I want higher notes, so I want it centered around the 3rd octave instead of the 1st. So I lock in the 1 octave range, which we've already got here, I hold shift, and I tap octave up. Now the window covers C2 to C3 instead of C0 to C1. Same scale, same pattern, just transposed up without touching anything else. Then I can bring it back down. One thing worth noting, if you shift it up near the top and you expand the window size while you're up there, obviously it can't go above C4. So I actually designed the envelope to expand downward instead. So you just get a wider spread, but with the notes that are available to you. The manual's got a good example of this if you want to see exactly how that plays out. And finally, the big one. I'm excited about this. The Shroud of Turing now has 5 full machine state save slots. This isn't just your scale anymore. When you save the machine state, you're capturing everything: pattern, sequence length, rotation, voltage range, your active scale, and your Slew setting. All of it in one shot. Think of it as a recallable Turing machine. To save, all you have to do is long hold the octave down, and while you're still holding it, press one of the black keys: C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, or A sharp. You've got 5 independent slots. To bring it back, you long hold octave up, press the same black key, and your entire setup snaps back instantly even after a power cycle. Here's an example. I like what's happening here, but let's spread the octave, Let's give it some Portamento. And let's save that to this first slot. So long hold. It's now saved right on the fly. And then let's go fully random. Cool, I'll save that to the second slot. Now let's recall the first slot. Long hold octave up. Here we go. And you can save others as well. This is the feature that turns the Shroud of Turing into something you can really lean into across a whole set. Save a patch per song, per key, per mood, whatever makes sense for how you work. Turing machines are great for exploration and inspiration, but they can be unpredictable in a live situation. Sometimes they can generate something that completely kills the vibe you were building. So one thing I like to do with this new feature is save one or two what I call safety net states, where I know they work with what I'm playing. Sometimes I'll do it on the fly like we just did in the middle of a performance. Then, when you build the random back in, if something goes sideways, you just recall your safety net and you're good to go. You let it groove for a few bars before adding random back in. And just a quick note, the same pot pickup protection that was applying to the Portamento also applies here. Load a state where the knob was locked at 5 o'clock, and even if your physical knob is sitting somewhere else, it won't yank the pattern out of lock the moment you load it. It stays put until you actually turn the knob. So that is version 1.2.7. Portamento, single note removal, voltage window shift, and 5 machine state save slots. It's a free update, and you can grab it right now at flat6modular.com/firmware, as well as the other free firmwares that will all run on this module. If you've got questions on any of this, drop them in the comments below. And if you build a pattern you love using any of these, I'd love to see it. Thanks for watching.